Welcome back to Hoops HD, everybody. It is
Woohoo!
Sunday, January 25th, and it's time for our bracket rundown show.
It
I'm your
is.
host.
It's a little past time. Well, Chad. I mean, our host. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself. You did something very gracious today, I got to say.
What did I do today?
Well, I mean, we're starting a little bit later than normal.
Yes.
We normally record at 9 o'clock on Sunday. I understand the commissioner of the NFL called you in a panic because of the overlap of the
We
playoff.
got a show to do here. I'm Chad Sherwood. That's David Griggs and John Stalika, Joby Fortson, John Titel, Rocco Miller, Bracketeer.org, at Rocco Miller 8. And also joining us, just jumping in here down the very bottom row there is Mike Cha as well. So we got a full cast here. It's our bracket rundown show, but we're going to start with what we love to start these shows off with, and that would be a blind resume. So we're going to start with a little blind resume here, and hold on a second, Griggs. We got a weather alert.
Oh, wow. It's just been a crazy weekend. Winter Storm Rocco wreaking havoc all over college basketball, causing many cancellations. And that's the live look at our weather map there. I
That
mean,
is, I think that's about accurate too.
yeah,
Winter Storm Rocco, yes.
Yeah, it's funny that you use the picture of me in Alberta where it's freezing as well.
is that which one it was?
It's pretty sad when it's warmer in
yeah.
Alaska.
Yeah, well, look, like
It might be
Alaska,
warmer in
located
Alberta.
south of Los Angeles, there, unaffected by the
Yes,
cold.
down there. Okay, let's get back to our blind resume and get serious here. It's blind resume time, and throw two resumes up here, and I'd like to ask a few of you, left or right, which one do you like better and why? Joby, let me start with you. Left or right, which do you like better?
Let's see. Uh,
Or is it a toss-up?
it really is close. I mean,
No, it's not.
no,
Well, yeah,
no,
it's pretty close.
yeah. I think this is a trap. I don't know the teams, but I have a feeling what one of their conferences is because you
Okay,
passed
well,
first. And they look very similar. Are those? I need to know if those wins are actual over actual teams with nets or inflated nets. So
okay. Well,
the one
let
that
me get
has inflated nets, I will not be choosing.
let me Titel, what do you think?
It's actually close. It really is
I think it's a
close.
tough one. So well done, Chad. Team on the right is a bit of a home court hero, 12 and
Hmm.
1. The predictive metrics are pretty similar. J and G is pretty similar. If I had to pick, I would go team on the right, only because they seem like they have a little better tier one and less tier four. Well, they have more tier four. I'm going to go team on the right, but I think it's very close.
Griggs, are you going left because they've got uh, more stuff away from home?
The one
Or are you
on the
going
right,
right?
yeah, well, they do have a little more away from home, but just 1-4 in true road games.
But on the other hand, 4-4 road neutral versus 2-5.
Yeah, I was actually leaning more towards the right, but I mean, the metrics are pretty close. One of the things about the team on the left is a slightly harder out of conference schedule. Um, Everything about them is pretty similar, other than the team on the left is much less lucky.
Just lucky. There we go.
Chad, there is one comment
My
I will say.
favorite
I would
metric
go
is
with the team on the right, and the reason why is because the wins in tier one, you have 14 and 55, whereas the other is 29, 16, 28. Those are all tournament teams.
Mhm.
29, 16, 28.
Not
The
to
one on the
mention
left might have
29 was
only
on the
one
road.
tournament.
this is a tough one. I don't
Uh,
particularly like either of them.
one more thing here, Rocco. On the left, you do have a neutral court win over 14, which I think is better than anything the team on the right did.
I don't know. Winning at Rupp Arena is pretty good, which is what the team on the right did.
So you know who the teams are.
Yeah, I think that's why I don't like the blind resume. The name on the front of the jersey always matters, especially to the committee.
Uh, 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 Salika, tell us who the two teams are.
The team on the right, they escaped with one of those wins yesterday. That would be the Missouri Tigers. That
Yep.
road win came at Kentucky. And the team on the left beat Joby's team, the Butler Bulldogs.
Yeah.
You are
Very
correct.
good.
Good job there, and that Virginia win looking better and better for Butler, which that's why a couple of you didn't even vote for Butler on tonight's voting, which one of the reasons why I wanted to throw them up here to show that maybe they should be on everyone's radar at this point in time. 3-game winning streak on top of everything else.
Perhaps on the radar, yeah. And they're starting to play better. They were my dark horse team.
Let's go to what we're actually going to be doing today. A little bit different than the past few weeks. Instead of building a seed list here, what I did was I had everybody that's on the call here tonight submit to me their list of their top 55 teams. It's kind of a number we've chosen over the years. Top 55 teams, regardless of conference in the nation. I cross-country scored them, created a kind of a consensus seed list, and I filled in everybody beyond the end of teams that receive votes on my own there. Those are kind of the 13, 14, 15, 16 seeds, those types of teams I filled in. But we're going to kind of reveal this all here, Selection Sunday style. So we're going to start with the number one team overall. Good with that?
Yeah.
All right. Number one team overall, no surprise, Titel, it's your Arizona Wildcats.
That is a controversial choice,
Mm-hmm.
the committee here.
Yeah, they look so good. I've gotten to see a lot of their games this year now that they are a good team in a different conference, not always playing at midnight Eastern time. If they're not turning the ball over and making threes, which, believe me, it doesn't always happen, they really do look unbeatable. And yes, they could absolutely lose at BYU on Monday because BYU is so good. But, like, if Arizona plays its A game, I really could see them, like, running the table because their A game is so amazing.
And here, Rocco, it almost surprised me that we were actually, not only were we unanimous on the number one team, we were unanimous on the number two team.
Were we?
Which
Wow.
almost surprising, but everybody chose Duke number two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there as well. Yeah, 8 quad one wins. Only Arizona can match that. And you look at all the teams they beat in the. Even if you don't want to give them credit for Stanford or Texas, who are probably right on the cliff of in or out, they still have 7 other wins against the field. They might have as many as 9 if you have Texas and Stanford in your field. So, yeah, I mean, their one loss was by 1 point on a neutral court. So they're 1 point away from being undefeated.
Yeah. When we get to number three, we start having a little bit of a dispute here. Joby, let me go to you because you were the one person who didn't even have this team on your number one line. But it ended up we having the UConn Huskies here at number three overall.
Well, it's tight. I actually think Duke is tight with the others. They were my number two, but they weren't like way above. I have no qualms with UConn being because my 3 through 5 were very tough. And hint, hint, my 3 and 4, well, they'll sort themselves out very soon.
Actually, I'm just looking at the numbers here. Actually, all of us had the same teams, 3, 4, or 5, just had the order a little bit different. Mike, number 4 overall. How about your Michigan Wolverines getting here back on the top line?
Okay, you can call me a Michigan hater, but I actually had Nebraska as 4, Michigan as 5. It might be a moot it could be settled on Tuesday, but I don't have a problem with Michigan being 4 because I had them at 5. It's very close. Michigan has a rock solid resume. The reason why they're not higher up among the number 1 rank is that they have a lot of very good wins, but they don't have the elite wins that Arizona, Duke, and UConn have.
Right.
And there's always the little things when it comes to, separating who's number 1 and who's number 1 through 4 among the number 1 seeds.
What's interesting about Michigan, and it just goes to how does the committee and how do the individuals on the committee value them or evaluate them. One way, looking at the profile, their profile isn't as strong as Nebraska's. It's not as strong as everybody else that we've put up there, but their team, if you look at the margins of victory against Auburn, against Gonzaga, against really good teams, and the fact that they only have the 1 loss, albeit home to Wisconsin, that's I don't know. Like, is it better to blow out good teams or to beat elite teams? I could see it going either way. I don't know how this is why I don't try and guess the committee anymore. I can't.
Well, Rocco, you're an expert at this. Which is better, blowing out good but not great teams, or beating, getting wins like a road win against an Illinois team?
Well, for a number one seed conversation, platinum gold is the most important thing typically, and Nebraska has that, having the road win at Illinois. However, beating Gonzaga, who's also a top eight team by 1,000,000 points, is worthy of consideration. If we had to abruptly stop the season today, you would have the strongest number two seed in history, no matter which decision you made here. And so, yes, Mike, you're right. It's going to be settled on Tuesday.
That's the good news about this. Obviously, I don't think it's any surprise on the two line there. We do have Nebraska coming in at number 5 overall. We've already been batting them around a bit. But Stalika, let me go to you here. Number 6 overall. How about the Zags getting all the way up to number 6 overall here on this exercise?
The win against Kentucky continues to get a lot better for Gonzaga. The wins against UCLA also aging a bit better. Alabama is also a pretty good neutral court win. The Bulldogs did, however, escape at home against San Francisco, where the Dons had a chance to win the game with a 3, but were unable to do so. But that's, again, not the only time Gonzaga's had to escape. Don't forget they also had the scare at home against Seattle, and obviously that big loss against Michigan going to hurt the metrics somewhat.
Yeah, Griggs, you didn't even think that the Zags were a 2 seed. You had them down in your 3 line.
I did. I thought I was going to have them solidly on the 2 line, but as I kept looking at them against the teams that are about to come up, I was like, well, they don't top out quite as high. I'll move them down another spot. I won't move them down anymore.
Mhm.
Well, one more. Well, one more, and they just sort of ended up, I think, either 10th or 11th on mine, which I if you want to know, like the next 2 or 3 teams I think that we're about to name, if you look at them next to Gonzaga, they don't top out quite as high. So that was why I found myself moving them down some. I do like them. When I started the day, I mean, I never really start the exercise when I put together a seed list with I try to empty in all prejudgments out of there. But I would have thought that Gonzaga would have been higher on my list. It's a funny thing to say.
Titel, number 7 overall. Maybe a little surprising here. Houston,
I love
despite
this
the
team.
loss,
Love
is
this
still here on the 2 line.
Yeah, losing to Texas Tech is certainly nothing to lose too much sleep about. Giving up 90 points at Texas Tech for Kelvin Sampson is something to at least lose a little sleep about, because he never gives up that many points. But yeah, he's 7 points away from being undefeated. J&G loves him. Predictive metrics are all 1 seedish. So I think I'm fine having him here. I could argue for Purdue, which I assume we'll see shortly, who's also coming off a loss, but I'm not worried about Houston one bit.
Oh,
And
Ro-
Mike, how about that Texas Tech win? I mean, that is aging well. Looking so much better after the Texas Tech loss this week.
hold on a second. There it is.
I knew it.
Rocco, a little bit surprised here. I think this is the first time we've seen this team up this high all season. Our last 2 seed. How about the Illini?
Yeah, they're actually a little low for me. I have them 6th overall.
Yeah, you had them the highest of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, the road wins at Purdue, at Iowa, at Ohio State, 3 tournament quality and 2 very high quality road wins, on top of the neutral Tennessee win, which aged well this weekend. Tennessee, of course, getting a monster road win yesterday. 4 high quad 1A wins, as well as 6 overall. And Illinois in the last, I mean, I know we don't look at segments of the season, but in the last 6 weeks or more, they're number 1 in the nation per Torvik. So obviously, this is a very dangerous team, and I think they have credentials that are better than Gonzaga and Michigan State right now, and certainly better than what Houston has.
Yeah, I think there's an argument there, absolutely. But let's start off the 3 line here. We're up to Joby. There's Purdue coming in at number 9 overall.
Yeah, I had Purdue a little higher, and it's what Griggs said, not to give him credit, but he is right on this one. I like how Purdue tops out. I really do. And I love Illinois too. And they won at in West Lafayette. But Purdue, I think, is actually angling for the 2 line eventually. And I think what they did out of conference, basically whipping the SEC a couple of times, and oh wait a minute, yes, there's that Texas Tech team on a neutral court. So I'm big fan of the Boilers. They've had a couple losses at home, which are the blip for the most part. But they're a solid team, 2-3 seed, no doubt right now. Not what they were preseason, which was 1-2, but they are certainly still a top 10 team.
I actually found myself with Purdue and Illinois next to each other in my seed list.
No.
And of course, Illinois
Very
just won at
close.
Purdue. So I had to go Illinois.
I had to punish Purdue with seed line because they're throwing Mick Cronin a life raft. What are you doing, Boilers?
Freshman scored 46 for Illinois. Don't know his name offhand, but
Mike, number 10 overall. How about Iowa State getting in here? This was a team that was on the 1 line not that long ago.
yeah, but when you lose 2 in a row, and that's what happens. And you got teams like Houston in their own conference that are playing very well, and 3 is about right for Iowa State. Like Illinois with the big win over Purdue, they jump over Iowa State. If you look at the top, it's very packed, and 1 slip up, and Iowa State has 2 slip ups. That's enough to move them down to 3.
Yeah, and Sleek, I got to ask you here about this next team. You would have had them at number 6 overall at 2 line, Michigan State. You didn't get much love for having them on the 2 line from anybody else, though.
Michigan State is a team that has, by my count, 5 wins against teams that are likely to make the field, including neutral court wins against Kentucky and North Carolina. Their only losses at home against Duke and on the road at Nebraska by 2 points. Those teams, one's already a 1 seed and one could very easily be a 1 seed if they're able to win at Michigan. I don't see why we're punishing the Spartans here.
I'm with you, John. I have them with 2 seed.
Yeah, I think it's a real good argument. I mean, yeah, they've got the 2 losses, but they've lost their 2 losses to teams that are already in our field. There's Illinois on the right side. They have a 3rd loss to somebody that's not in the field yet. I mean, Alabama will be there, but just not there yet. Griggs, I think you're trying to talk, but I don't seem to hear you.
Did you preemptively mute him?
He's already in the bunker. He's in the bunker 2 months early, Chad.
Yep, I think we absolutely have lost Griggs' sound, so you're going to have to try to get that back here, Griggs. But in the meantime, let's go on to the number 12 overall while he tries to work that out.
I think we should leave him muted.
I think we should also. I honestly did not mute him, but at this time at least. How about number 12 overall? Joby, Texas Tech.
I like this team, and recency bias. It can certainly go in because it's a tremendous win that we've already talked about against Kelvin Sampson. But they also have a neutral court win over Duke. I mean, you talk about topping out. This team is really good. They have wins against the field. The losses, 3
Topping
of those
out
are listed, and Arkansas will be listed soon. So I think Texas Tech has a little bit of a sky is the limit feel to them. Yes, they've got to do to achieve a 1 seed. They need to go and win in at Arizona to do that. But they have a foundation you can build a really high, strong seed on. And the flat fact is, we talk about resumes. I like the way they look. I mean, they have it going on, and so. Yes, I'm all for Texas Tech. I'd even say a little higher, as you probably know from my seed list.
I had them higher.
What
I was going to say before Chad just completely cut me off what was that Michigan State, the one thing that they don't have that everybody that we've listed already has is wins against teams that are likely protected seeds. And that's certainly true for Texas Tech here. North Carolina are like none of those teams are there yet, but this is a Texas Tech team that beat Duke on a neutral floor. Went to Houston and nearly won. Did beat Houston at home. I would like to see. They don't have the monster true road win that teams on the one line typically get, at least not yet. But this is a damn good Texas Tech team.
But they
Their
got
monster road games aren't coming until late February.
Yeah, and
but
they
they-
did lose at Houston, and they did lose at Illinois.
They have 3 more chances for that monster win, though. At Arizona,
Yeah.
at Iowa State, and at BYU. So
Yeah.
let's start off the 4 line here. Titel, how about BYU? We just mentioned them, I think, here, coming in at number 13 overall.
Pretty great team, Chad. I saw a bit of all the 40-point freshmen this weekend in Vogler at Illinois, Flemings at Houston, and DeBonsa at BYU. And I'm telling you, like, we should do a whole separate show on the freshman class because it would take too long to talk about here. But DeBonsa's the real deal. He carries the team. He also has great pieces around him like Robert Wright III and Kennard Davis. I mentioned Davis specifically because he was missing for the UConn loss. So I think that weighs in their favor. But of course, if you have to do a toss-up with Texas Tech, as you see, they lost at Texas Tech by double digits. So as much as I want them on the 3 line, I think you are correct to put the Red Raiders ahead of them.
Yeah, it was pretty close there between the 2 of them, but BYU did end up at number 13 overall, and Rocco at number 14 overall. Was Vanderbilt still our leader out of the SEC? I was a little surprised that they ended up being the highest ranked SEC team, but they did.
Well, they can really put it on you, and they were angry yesterday, Chad. They handed Mississippi State their worst loss at the hump since 13 years ago when they also pounded them by 41. The same Vanderbilt program. So that's helping them a lot. I think them and BYU are actually like neck and neck for 13-14, which really doesn't matter. They're both 4 seeds. So I'm good with whatever order. I think right now, just based on Vanderbilt's blowout yesterday, they have the edge on the power numbers. But otherwise, it's so close. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Again, the mighty SEC. There's our first team in from the SEC, all the way down to number 14 overall. How about number 15 overall? What do we have to here? Mike. Oh, actually, sorry, I got to go to Joby. It's his team.
Yeah, Joby.
I'll go to you for the next one. There's Virginia coming in here up into the protected seed realm.
Yeah, they might have. If they had been able to pull off the win this weekend, we might have actually had a debate with them in the top 2. But right now, BYU and Vanderbilt are very, even as my blue and orange glasses are firmly on, are deserving of being ahead. And this is a great spot. This is actually where I had Virginia. And I think it's very deserved. They're a good team. Shouldn't have blown the 10-point lead to Carolina. That's going to sting. We're going to see how they react, because this is the first time that they've actually, the Butler game was weird. It was was in a ballroom. Virginia Tech triple overtime. Okay, that just refocuses the mind. Tricky game in South Bend. Virginia should win,
They
but
should.
It's a tricky game, and we're going to see how Virginia plays, because on these road games, you still got to bring your A game. And I could see a slip up. We're going to know a lot about them. If they go in and they play strong against Notre Dame, take care of business as a solid team, then this is that protected seed, 4 seed, 3 seed, possibly, if they continue to win, that they've kind of shown glimpses of throughout the season.
Yeah, and part of this game, it's just Virginia. Are they mentally tough or not? I think they are. And I think that that's going to help them at Notre Dame, because when it comes to mental toughness, they can just start saying things like, gee, the college football committee really got it right. And Notre Dame is going to be thrown.
Why are you buzzing them, Chad? I actually agree with that.
All right. Mike, how about that
I
last
actually think, as a little aside,
Yeah.
I think Miami deserved it more for the college football than what we might give Miami later in this show.
We've not seen the word Miami on the screen yet, but Mike, we are seeing Kansas come in here as our 6th Big 12 team in this field already, and our last of our protected seats.
Yes. I mean, they didn't look great against Colorado a few nights ago, but they did get the win, and it is difficult to win at altitude. And they took care of business, beating their rival Kansas State. So, I look at their profile. I mean, they do have a home win over Iowa State, a neutral court win over Tennessee. But just kind of a blah profile. I had them either as one of the last fours or first of the five, so this is about right.
Yeah,
So
Tytel.
Chad,
Now that they're healthy, this team I think is just getting really, really dangerous, though.
Yes, I mean you cannot forget what happened when they weren't healthy and Darren Peterson missed the last game. So like he's he's one of the most frustrating people because like he's an All-American when he plays, but he only plays half the season. I'm if you want to pick against him in March, if he's healthy, be my guest. He's great.
Greg, do you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, like, how I was about to say I think I had the same 16 protected seeds that the committee had. I just realized that there was one difference. I mean, we don't really see all of the ballots, but how close was this?
There was, I don't think anybody, I think, actually, I'll put it this way. I believe all of us had 15 out of these 16 teams, at least, if
Yeah,
not all 16. So it was, I think there's a big drop off. Maybe
I think there is
one or two
too.
more teams, and then there's going to be a big drop off after
Yeah.
this.
Agreed.
Uh,
Agreed.
and what I'm going to do actually from here on out is do one full seed line at a time. We're starting with the 5 line. We could see some potential second round matchups even showing up here. Stalika, let me start with you on the 5 line. But we've got Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, and North Carolina coming in there. And to the extent anybody else got votes to be in the top 4 seed lines, at least 3 of those teams, Alabama, Florida, and Arkansas got some votes to be on the top 4 seed lines. North Carolina did not.
Yeah, I actually had on my own list Arkansas number 16 and Virginia number 17. The Razorbacks, their best win is a neutral court win against Texas Tech. Still trying to get a signature road win, but the best one they have at this point is the game against Ole Miss. North Carolina benefited greatly by finally getting a decent road win at Virginia. And Florida, Alabama, they were kind of meandering a bit this week with the losses against Auburn and Tennessee, respectively.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I really was looking for somebody to replace Vanderbilt as the top SEC team, and Rocco, when both Florida and Alabama both lost, that's kind of when he let Vandy stayed up top there. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's not done by conference affiliation. These are
Yeah,
all different entities for the committee, and Texas A&M's in first place. So there's your auto bid. They're not even in the conversation yet. But yeah, I think Florida, they're still holding on resume wise. That was a tough home loss to Auburn. They landed in the sixes for me, but it was pretty close. I can live with them on the five.
let's take a look at the next 4 teams up here. Who are we up to here? Titel, we see St. John's, Louisville, Clemson, and Tennessee. These are our 6 line, and this is where we start to have a bit of a drop off too, I think.
I've seen a lot of good press on St. John's. I don't know if they just want to give them their flowers because Patino won his 900th game over his kid, but I've seen them seated as high as the 5 line. Louisville, now that Mike Brown Jr. is back, is going to start winning games because he's also another great freshman, and a lot of their losses were when he was hurt with his back injury. Tennessee seems to be rebounding with the win over Alabama. Clemson, I'm still not totally sure what to make of them as they have a loss to Georgetown in their tier 5 on their resume, but I think this is a solid little 6 line.
I want to follow up on one thing Tytel said. I think Rick Pitino was pretty savage by losing to Providence on purpose just so he could get number 900 against Richard Pitino.
Wow.
Oh, geez. Okay. Griggs, I'll ask you about our 7 line here. 4 more teams coming up. Gonzaga's potential second round opponent there will be SMU. There's Kentucky, Villanova, and Georgia. And we've just been getting, we only had the one SEC team in the top 4 seed lines. We've been getting slammed with SEC teams as we go through the 5, 6, and 7 lines here.
I had SMU way lower. The other
Okay.
teams, I had them in this range. Kentucky, and part of it on my point, whether I want to admit it or not, is recency bias. Kentucky playing a lot better. There was a time I was beating them up. I think when we first started doing this, the first couple shows we did, I was arguing that they shouldn't be selected at all. Villanova, I've had them around the 6 line. I know that they had a little bit of a setback. The 7 feels right, but man, did they, in a losing effort, look good against UConn. And I really like Georgia. I'd like to see them do a little more away from home than what they've done, but they have potential. But I'm just not. I guess I like SMU a lot less than everybody else.
Now, let me go through two of these. First of all, let me start here with Georgia. Greg, you had Georgia a couple seed lines higher. Rocco, you had them a few seed lines lower. And I think I'm more with you, Rocco, than Griggs. But
I had him as 20. I mean, I had him as a couple C lines higher. So, yeah,
That's where I had them on Friday when I did the bracket. But when you lose big at Texas, I cannot justify having them that high.
yeah, Rocco, I think you had them two seed lines lower. So can you tell Griggs why he's wrong about Georgia being such a great team?
I mean, I think they're safely in, but
Yeah.
out of the teams that are safely in, they graded out as the bottom, and that happened to be team number 33, which is the best of the 9 seeds. So that's the difference there in seeds. It's not too far off, but it's the best road win being Mizzou or South Carolina or Florida State. They don't have that road win against the field. They have their best win overall, Arkansas, Auburn. Those improved a little bit over the weekend, but not to a substantial point. And I just like a little bit more of what some of the teams that are being compared to them. So I also think in this part of the seeding, your power numbers matter more, and that's why I would have St. Louis way above a team like Georgia. And same with potentially even Auburn, even though Auburn lost at Georgia on the road.
All right,
Because Auburn just got a ridiculous road win yesterday.
they did.
we
I
haven't
like
gotten
the
over.
road. I like the road win at Mizzou though, Rocco, because I think they're the only team that's done it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. Florida sure didn't.
Florida didn't, and I mean, Mizzou might not be in the field, but sometimes you have to look at like how hard was it to win that game. It's hard to win at Mizzou
It
if
is.
you're not Mizzou.
But they
Joe
just
Beck-
looked so bad at Texas yesterday.
Yeah,
Chris.
I mean,
They
my
got
eyes are bleeding
crushed.
from watching it. They look terrible. I'm not going to
Yes.
deny that.
Yes.
Joby, I pulled up SMU on the right there. Greg said that he would have them much lower. He would have had them at 41 overall. You've had them at 24. You've had them a seed line higher. So I'm going to let you defend SMU why Griggs is
Well,
wrong
I
that they
think
belong lower.
Carolina's win at Virginia really helped because it made Carolina a 5 seed, not a 6/7. And so all of a sudden that win's looking better. A&M's coming up. Yeah, we might not have A&M yet, but A&M's coming up, and that was away from home, as well as a win against a Butler team that's right on the edge. Virginia Tech, I think, will be in our field. So they have field wins. And I know, Griggs, there's no at there that's of
Well, that's
note.
just it. And not only is there no at there, these are teams that, other than like until yesterday, North Carolina had one road win. and it
Until
included
yesterday.
Yeah.
You nailed the point. I
And-
think I would not have had SMU at 24.
Butler, Vodtech,
Had
these aren't
Carolina
exactly
not beaten
road
Virginia.
warriors that they're beating at home.
I mean, I think I do not have. If Carolina doesn't win that game, I probably have SMU in this seed, which is where I think if I had moved them to like 26, 27, they're still probably going to be presented as they are right now. But now that Carolina win gives them, that's a close to protected seed. That gives some power, strength to the win. Plus, I really can't fault, you lose to LSU at home. That's not great. But the other wins are teams we've already mentioned. So I'm like, this is, they have wins against the field, not just a bunch of bad losses. We'll get to Stanford later. And, I think this is a solid team that should be definitively in the top half of the field. 24 seems right to me. But I wouldn't fight if someone said 25, 26. I would fight you on if you start getting into the 30s.
I didn't have the 30s.
Yeah, you had them in the 40s.
Like an 8 seed, right?
You had them in the 40s, Joby.
Had him at 41.
Oh, God. Well, without bad losses and 4 tournament wins, come on, man.
Let's look at the last line here of the top half of the bracket, the 8 seeds. Mike, I'm going to bring you in for this one. We've got Texas A&M, who we've mentioned, Auburn, who we recently mentioned, UCF, and St. Louis, who we recently mentioned. So all 3 teams that were just brought up, all getting here on the 8 line.
It looks pretty good to me. I mean, Auburn certainly helped themselves by beating Florida on the road. Um, yeah, A&M, UCF, St. Louis. I mean, St. Louis has the gaudy record, suspect out of conference schedule, suspect overall schedule, but they win. I mean, you can't argue with that. And as long as they don't slip up too much, and that an 8 seed is just right for them.
Yeah, and Sleek, I got to ask you about UCF here. You would have had them several seed lines higher. You want to sell us on them?
I think the win at Texas A&M and home against Kansas probably going to be among some of their top wins. I also think the wins against Kansas State, Colorado, while not great, they do at least give them some wins away from home. And I would also say the same about their neutral court win against Florida Atlantic.
I guess one of the things I hesitated, Rocco mentioned that these power rating numbers, not as nearly as good for UCF as some of the other teams we've been comparing them to recently.
But I think the only stinker they have on their profile is the loss at Oklahoma State. That's probably why they're getting pushed down the seed list here.
Fair enough. Okay, let's take a look at the 9 line now, and we're going to see some potential first round matchups. Titel, we've got Texas A&M gets St. Mary's, Auburn gets Utah State, UCF gets Iowa, and St. Louis gets Wisconsin. Any thoughts?
I don't love that matchup for St. Louis only because Wisconsin has veteran players, veteran coach, and height, which I think is dangerous. But I'll defer to the other people who've watched a lot more the Billikens than I have. I don't like the matchup for Utah State just because Auburn is going in the right direction. If this was an 8 seed like somebody like Georgia who might be dropping a little bit, then I like their chance a little more. But I think Auburn is only going to get better, even though they have a first-year coach. And I love the chance for Arizona to take on a little buckyball in the second round out in San Diego.
That'd be a fun one.
Griggs, I'll give you 3 seconds on Iowa because you didn't even have them in your 40s. You had them in your 50s.
Yeah, I just don't
And Joby's disgusted.
I'm not disgusted.
Titel
I'm
left. Joby's
sympathetic.
disgusted.
They're not on my list yet either.
Well, there's no profile there. I mean, they had a nice road win against a team that's going towards the crown, and that's all they've done so far.
It is a Tier 1A road win. It's got to count for something, does it not, at Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, I think the crown will be very happy to have them.
But I do think the home win against UCLA has also got to count for something for the Hawkeyes.
Maybe it's getting if they go to Oregon and Washington, if they win their next 3, those are pretty solid. They have one true road win, and it's at Indiana, who's not going to make the field. I just think that every team that we will select will have a better profile. Now, will they have a better profile in March? Perhaps not. And I'm looking at profiles more than I'm looking at predictive metrics.
All right, Griggs, I got to call you out there because I just pulled up St. Louis, who you did like on the right there. Who did they beat that's going to be in this field?
Well, no
Yeah,
one.
keep
but
looking.
But they've won 5. At least they've beaten somebody away from home. Iowa's won 1 game.
Yeah, but Iowa's losses were Iowa State, Purdue, Michigan State, and Minnesota. One bad one, Minnesota.
Okay, Iowa will go up my seed list next week if they go on the road and beat both Oregon and Washington. If they win both of those, I'll be like, you know what? This is they belong in the top half or close to the top half.
Rocco, let me go to you for the 10 line here. Left to right, SMU gets USC in the Andy Enfield game, Kentucky, NC State, Villanova, Miami, Ohio, and Georgia, Miami. Both Miami's here on the 10 line as well.
All right, fair enough. My only thing I would say is USC's road win at Wisconsin and the updated numbers that came through from the NCAA site in the last hour. I think USC's clearly above Wisconsin, and so I would swap those two. But outside of that, I like the line. And Miami, Ohio. Hey, listen, if we're gonna put them up at the 10, I'm predicting the committee screws them. But I love our group more than the committee, so let's go.
Oh, I like our group too, even if Chad is on it. Jerry.
Now, I do have to ask, does the winner of the Georgia-Miami game, did they get the rights to the Carson Beck jersey?
Um,
That doesn't get buzzed.
I
Come
gave him
on.
a symbol. Here's a
was
buzz too
funny.
for you, Griggs. It was a pretty good one. Yeah, NC State and both Miami's here on this line as well. Uh, Joby, do those two teams belong? Those two ACC teams here? Did we get that right?
NC State does. Miami of Ohio belongs, not the Hurricanes. You talk about needing a win. Come on, look at this resume. Show me even sniffing the field. Like it's okay. Sorry, Griggs likes them because they beat a bunch of NIT teams and Crown, I guess, Ole Miss. No, they're NIT also. They beat four NIT teams away. Sorry, no, that's not good enough. And then
Yeah,
you
Iowa
combine it
hasn't even
with
done
a
that.
loss at home to Florida State. So you have no tournament wins and an awful loss. That is a really bad. I weigh things as you have crappy losses have to be balanced out by good quality tournament level wins. They are behind schedule. They were not in my field. They were in my
They've beaten
55,
Georgetown,
but
so they at
not
least
in
have
my
one win against the Crown.
field. It was
Oh,
away from
God.
home, John. Great call. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not.
Iowa hasn't even done
I am
that.
very fair about this. Even though they're an ACC team, even though I'm more going to want to give them benefits of the doubt here and there. If you're not beating teams that you will play in March, well, actually, they are beating teams they'll play in March, just in the NIT.
Well, this is the NIT show, is it not? Let's go. Let's go on here. Titel, first two of our 11 seeds. These are the last two teams to avoid the trip to Dayton. San Diego State and UCLA.
Like it. Congratulations, Brian Dutcher. Not only is Chad going to make you fly across the country to Buffalo, if you beat Rick Pitino, you get Tom Izzo. Thanks for nothing.
They get to go to San Jose if they can get out of that pod.
Sure, Chad. Sure, it's going to happen.
Sorry, but rules and procedures do not allow them to play at home at VA Haas.
Yeah.
It's true.
UCLA, Mick Cronin was an assistant at Louisville for a while. That would be a fun one.
What about this UCLA team? Mike, how about UCLA? Did that huge win over Purdue suddenly has his team going from wrong direction to
If
right
they don't beat
direction?
Purdue, they're not in my field, and maybe not too many others either. But now they have that win over Purdue. That looks great. Win at Washington. It is technically a tier one win. And then their losses, five of them are in quad one. They don't really have a bad loss. Five of them are in quad one. So, but that Purdue win does give them a chance. It keeps them afloat. Otherwise, they're not in the field.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
Greg,
so-
the Purdue one doesn't even count though because it was at home, so
Yeah,
you would
it
not
was
have
at
them in
home.
your field, would you?
No, that was still a really good win. I did have them in my field. Mick Cronin, very doubtful, had them in his. Mick Cronin, uh, about a week ago, before the Purdue win, trashed his team, which he has a tendency to do, and then they followed that up with a massive win, which his teams have a tendency to do after getting trashed by him. Now, I don't know Mick Cronin, but everybody that I know that knows him says your impression of him is wrong. He's actually really friendly, really personable. He's the human crab. He's the most miserable, pessimistic person ever. And whenever he trashes his team, they respond though.
Uh, let's take a look at our first four games. This will be Tennessee's opponent here in the South region. Rocco, how about if we can get a display here? New Mexico and Vatech.
I can deal with that. They're both borderline, obviously, right now. But I think you look at Vautech for one. They're hanging on with wins over Virginia and California at home. California is a team they're straight up against right now for one of the last spots. And there's nothing sexy about the rest of these teams that I can think of. But they do have road wins at Syracuse and South Carolina. Again, NIT level action there. They're decent enough on the road at 4-5 away from Blacksburg that you can stomach them. And they've obviously got a very interesting team, and I think the first four television ratings are important, as we learned last year. So
They've
go
never
for
had
go,
more than 3 million viewers. They rate crappily.
They
we'll have
try to
people
get
in
good
Greece.
games though.
We will have people in Greece watching if Virginia Tech makes it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then in terms of New Mexico, again, I think for them, with Santa Clara being close enough to the bubble and then beating Santa Clara by 25, that really helps them a lot, although it was in the pit. I think the road win at VCU is very tough for a team from the West to go and win in Richmond. It's a lot even tougher than an A10 team to go do it because of the travel. And I just think they have, I mean, I know they lost the rivalry to New Mexico State, shows up as the only bad loss, but we know that rivalry intimately. I just
Yeah.
think the Lobos have done enough to get a spot in Dayton.
I
So I'm
think
okay
a lot
with
of teams are getting signature wins at VCU, so I'd wonder, is it really hard to win at Siegel this year?
Oh, VCU's having a hard time doing it.
not many teams have a quad one win over 2,000 miles away from home, and New Mexico does.
Yeah.
But I think New Mexico's other problem is you've also got two losses against teams that aren't in the field, including a bad Tier 3 loss against arch rival New Mexico State.
I still like New Mexico.
And a bad loss to the team that lost to Hawaii Pacific, as my shirt does say. But Joby, our last two teams in, they are Clemson's opponent here in the Midwest region. How about Missouri and Seton Hall barely hanging onto the field here?
I had Missouri as one of my final two wins, and the blind resume today, it stayed true. I am not. I think Seton Hall fell out this weekend. He loses to Paul. It's like it's
And
not.
it's their fourth straight. And
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the Hall in. I'm Hall's in my 55 and all that stuff, but I actually think there are other teams that we should be looking at. Seton Hall actually doesn't have a lot of depth on their resume. They beat NC State, who's in the field, I think not comfortably, but solidly. No one, I think their NC State is probably in everybody's field on this panel. But besides that, once again, what have you done against teams that you will be playing, you were supposed to play in March? I don't think Seton Hall's done a whole lot. And the loss to DePaul then counterweights on the other side. And so, sure, Seton Hall has opportunities to move up. At Villanova becomes a very important game. At Butler becomes a really important game. And but they've got to perform. They can't have another loss. They can't lose to Stalika's Musketeers, for instance, this week. That would be a really bad loss. That would put a stake in their heart for
And
now.
I think there's a good chance that could happen because Xavier could easily have won either of their past two games, but have just come up short.
I agree, John. I 100%.
Well, let me get let's get
Hall.
the other take of the Hall because I agree with you completely. In fact, Joby, you and Rocco and I all had them 53, just barely out of the 50, making even our top 55. Titel, you had them all the way up at 41. You want to defend the Hall?
I will. It's not easy, but I will.
Okay.
The strength of schedule is not terrible. I think it's one of those years and I understand that if you don't beat tier one teams that they hold that against you as they should, but I think it's one of those in a years past, if you win at Marquette, that's not a tier 3 win. If you beat Creighton, if you win at Kansas State, depending on the year, these could all in theory be tier 1 wins. They're not this year, which is why I understand if you want to leave them out. I believe in their defense. I saw them beat Georgetown, although who hasn't beaten Georgetown this year? The NC State win was by double digits, not at home. And the losses are piling up. And losing at DePaul, if you want to say it's an automatic disqualifier, so be it. But they're in a lot of these games. USC was close. Villanova was close. St. John's was close. UConn was close. So I understand, as Chad likes to say, that good teams lose close games. But I'm not ready to give up on them just yet. I know they're running out of time though.
Let's take a look at the top 4 teams out. These are in order, by the way. They're down there in the center. The top team to miss was Ohio State, followed by Cal, TCU, and Texas. And Rocco, how about this Cal team off the Stanford win? They're suddenly the team that's rising. And by the way, Stanford has not even showed up yet on the list now.
Yeah, well, obviously with the Akpara news that hurts them in the conversations, but Cal a good road win at Stanford regardless, and they do have the wins over UCLA here in the Chase Center, counts as a neutral court win, and the North Carolina home win. So borderline 2.5 wins against the field, I guess, if you count the road Stanford. And they're 8-5 in meaningful games, which is not bad. It's just their strength of schedule at 327th typically is a death nail, especially for the ACC, which traditionally has one team with a horrible non-conference strength of schedule get snipped. Be pretty easy to snip Cal on the TV ratings as well. So I just want to see a tad more from the Bears. They were really close though.
Yeah, they got that tough Florida road trip coming up this week too. That is
Not easy.
long trip to make.
Get that Miami win.
Mike, I got to ask you. I got Ohio State up there on the right. I know you love Ohio State, being a Michigan guy.
Well, I had him near. I had him near the cut line. The thing is, yeah. Let me just see where I had. I'm checking my. Excuse me here. Just checking.
You had them at
list here.
43 overall, which would have been in your field actually.
Yeah, I had him near the cut line. It's like 43 is basically like one of the last teams in. So, but the thing is, being in the Big Ten, they're going to have plenty of chances. If they don't get into the tournament, it's their own fault because they're going to have their chances. They're going to have plenty of chances to pick up high quality wins.
They have a killer schedule left, and throw in there a non-conference game against Virginia coming up on Valentine's Day. So, killer schedule for Ohio State. But you're right; it's the chances.
I don't have much expectations for the Buckeyes, but one is you cannot lose to a Pittsburgh team anywhere this year. I did not even have them on my 1 through 55 list. That net is a joke for the Buckeyes.
That was a bad loss.
Well, Stalika, they have a high net because of the conference there, and they get so many chances to play high quality teams.
There were 10 other teams that at least got some votes here. Griggs, we had Stanford, Butler was our part of our blind resume, Oklahoma State, Santa Clara, Belmont, Indiana, LSU, George Mason, Baylor, Akron, all got some love from somebody here, as well as a few teams that actually are in as auto qualifiers on our 12 line, but we'll get those in a second. And I think one thing to note here is a couple teams that really fell this week, include LSU and George Mason with some bad losses.
Yeah. Mason in particular is an interesting case. It's a bloated record against a weak schedule. And while they're not in under the radar conference, they're not exactly a power conference either. The A10 typically will get their first place team in far more often than not. But I know we've kind of gone back and forth on them. I just don't think that's enough.
That loss at Rhode Island, wow, that hurt. It really hurt. I think there was a case for I may have had them in my field had they not lost that game, but let's take a quick look at the rest of the field here. Starting on the 12 line, Rocco, Florida gets Liberty, Alabama gets Stephen F. Austin, Arkansas gets Yale, and North Carolina gets Tulsa, who is now our best rated team out of the American, at least. It's kind of a big old tie at the top there, with today's result actually make it a big old tie.
Yeah, the Sherwood Committee really likes the Lumberjacks of SFA, given them.
They're the first place team, and hey, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I'll be there a week from Monday to see them play McNeese. Looking forward to getting down there.
That's a great game.
Mm-hmm. That would be high stakes.
Yeah.
Is that Piney Woods or Lake Charles?
Piney Woods.
Yeah.
Piney Woods.
And we cover all these teams on under the radar for moving too fast.
Griggs, Kansas gets UNC Wilmington, Vanderbilt gets Murray State, Virginia gets
High Point.
Point.
Would be a fun one. That Vandy Murray State game.
And how about a little
veins?
And how about a little beehive action? BYU versus Utah Valley.
That would be an awesome one. That is
the winner gets the Old Ochre bucket.
See, the World Committee will not put together a better tournament than this. They can't. That is an awesome 4 versus 13.
Yeah, but one of the other problems is you can't have a league game in the first round, though.
Oh
damn!
They're going to need a waiver.
Chad, you got to move. Yeah.
There are 14 seeds here.
Go Wolverines, Utah Valley.
Yeah,
absolutely. Salicar, 14 seeds. Michigan State gets North Dakota State. Texas Tech gets Hawaii. Iowa State gets Troy. Purdue gets Portland State.
Yeah, I think we can already go ahead and pencil in Troy, Iowa State for an overtime or 2.
Or 7. Yeah.
I would love that.
Oh my God! Yeah.
The 15 line here: Joe B. Gonzaga gets East Tennessee State, Illinois gets Lipscomb, Nebraska gets UT Martin, Houston gets Wright State, I don't know that I see an upset here, unfortunately.
It would be East Tennessee State, not because of Gonzaga, because I actually kind of like East Tennessee State a little bit, but Gonzaga should take care of business. But yeah,
And
just pay
that's
attention there. Pay
that's a
attention.
low seed for the SoCon, but it's up where
Yeah.
they should be probably.
No, it's where they should be.
Yeah.
And because but there's a little bit of what's happening in the SoCon as beating each other up. They are some of the better teams are like, Furman loses. Yeah, it's like Mercer loses. And so, you're having a little bit of that, sorting, but it'll be a tested team that I think will be dangerous in its role. But yeah, I'd rather the SoCon be a 14 seed because I think the threes are more vulnerable than like Gonzaga.
Our last, actually 6 teams in here. Titel, your Arizona team gets the winner of a Merrimack, Florida A&M game. Duke gets the winner of a Vermont, Maryland Eastern Shore. Go Fighting Hawks. Navy gets UConn. Michigan gets Long Island.
Not bad. I know that Annapolis is not too far from Philly, so hopefully we'd get a lot of alumni and fans showing up. But obviously, I don't see how I could pick against the Huskies in that one.
No, yeah, it's about 90 miles from Annapolis to Philly, but I think UConn fans will pack that building for that game. That's our field, though. What I want to do at this point, I'll leave the screen up here. I'm going to run through each of you for any other thoughts on anything we did today or anything else you want to discuss. And let's see here, Salika, let me start with you tonight.
Now, one of the things that we've noticed here, Belmont was among teams that were possible at-large consideration, yet for the time being, the auto bid went to Murray State out of the Missouri Valley. You could easily swap the two teams right there, and then there'd probably be a separate discussion as to whether or not Belmont would be a 13 or possibly a 12, given that they've had a couple of one-point losses in the Valley.
Yeah, that was, there are those teams neck and neck there. Real good Valley this season. Rocco.
Yeah, I think for today, the top 5 didn't change a lot. If anything, the 4 and 5 debate between Michigan and Nebraska for the last 1 seed got even tougher. And so, yeah, Nebraska, of course, getting a road win at Minnesota complicates things further. But again, we get to settle that on Tuesday. Then I think the 6
I'll be there.
Let's go, Cha. I love that. 6 through 14, that's where I think an entire reshuffling was required for me. And that's how I ultimately landed with Illinois at the top of that list. But everybody from Illinois to BYU/Vanderbilt, very, very high quality basketball teams. And that I think that order will continue to shuffle as we go. And I do think there is now at least a break from that Vanderbilt BYU part of the seed list into Kansas, Virginia, Arkansas section, just due to the fact that those teams don't quite have the juice as the top 14. So just always think it's interesting where those breaks happen. And then, of course, with the bubble piece as well, going to work through that throughout the night tonight. But we're just at a point where you have to learn to live with something that you can accept because they all have warts for different reasons. Even with Texas, obviously they have the sexy wins at the top, but they've lost so many games. They don't even have a 500 record or near that in meaningful games. The committee ignored that last year just to complicate things further. You have the New Mexico, George Mason, Santa Clara types of teams that don't have the big wins or even tournament level wins, and then you have the oddities of Ohio State, California, Missouri. So yeah, that's a whole lot of fun, but obviously with more data in the coming weeks, that's going to sort itself out.
Absolutely. Titel.
Quick note on each region in the West. I'm stunned at the amount of coaching talent we have. I love Tommy Lloyd, but he's arguably like the 5th best coach when you consider Bill Self, a champion in Todd Golden, Izzo, Patino, Few. It's just like he might be the 6th best coach, for God's sake. In the East, I love the chance for Vandy Alabama rematch. They played a couple weeks ago in Vandy, won by Vandy by 6 points, but Alabama was missing Aiden Sherrill. Now that he's healthy, I'd love to see the rematch. In the Midwest, I don't think Nebraska and the Red Hawks will be undefeated, but just thinking that there's a chance, I mean, how great that would be the best second run game in the history of the sport. And then in the South, since we already mentioned the Beehive game, I would focus on Purdue and Tennessee in the possible second round, especially because they just announced a couple months ago that they're starting a home and home series. So this is the sneak preview of games we'll get to see with those two teams in the years ahead.
Awesome. Great stuff. Mike.
Yeah, I can see as like this is what we've done this several times now, and it's becoming more and more refined. It seems like a lot of the teams we agree on. Definitely for Michigan, this is going to be a pivotal week because they have Nebraska at home and then Friday night at Michigan State. So either Michigan solidifies themselves as the one, or they fall a bit to the number 2 line. But those are pivotal games, just like Illinois winning at Purdue. If Wisconsin had held serve, I would have had them in the 8 line, but they had a hiccup today, and so it's just a game here and there, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Agreed. Joby.
We didn't discuss them, and I'm shocked that we didn't discuss them, given the wackiness around. Rocco's going through his wacky resumes, and I think those are excellent choices for tough to figure out. We haven't seen Stanford long term yet. Let's I know we're looking at Parr's injury and saying they're done, and they might be because he is so crucial from what we've seen him so far. But let's look at that. Let's say they continue on the course that they are. I mean, none of us know the future, so I don't want to bury them yet. They're a tournament team under this present resume, as far as I'm concerned. Before you give me UNLV, Utah State has much fewer, has the identical award. But they have 4 tournament wins. And it's, I really, and away from home, they're the only team to beat St. Louis. I mean, that has to count for something. And winning in Blacksburg, I know through 3 overtimes, that's not easy. So I mean, these are good wins, like really elite. I mean, and not just wins. Forget Virginia Tech for a second. The other 3 are top, at least as far as I'm concerned, top half of the seed list. Teams. I think Stanford's resume is a tournament resume as we sit right now. Things very likely could and possibly will change given the injury situation. But until then, I will until they actually have losses at Miami and have losses at Florida State, et cetera, until those start piling up, I will continue to bang the drum for the Cardinal. They are very worthy in my opinion.
Can you just remind me, Joby, how many points did Stanford score at home against Notre Dame back on December 30th? An entire game.
Man. You're not going to offend me with a low-scoring game.
47-40, one of the most disgusting games I've ever seen.
I saw a what was it? You guys might remember 43-36 Virginia-Wisconsin game.
I'm sorry, they should be sent to The Hague for crimes against basketball for that score.
No, that was the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game where it was just also ugly.
Michigan, Nebraska last year, that was a rock throwing contest.
Yeah.
Right. Briggs, I can pull the screen share down here and let you finish out the show.
Okay, one thing. San Diego State, as far as the bracket, I know that they're not there yet, but I think that they are playing much better than they were in November and December and might be able to get there. And I kind of wanted to let's see. I kind of wanted to talk about just getting back to the out of conference schedule and teams playing non-D1 teams, and then in some cases, not even playing NCAA countable teams. You see some of these joke colleges, you wonder how are these even really schools? I'm not going to name them by name because I don't want to insult, but some of the biblical studies types of colleges that only have about 50 or 60 students. So I just wanted to throw this alternative out there for everybody. It should be coming up on the screen here, both as a scheduling an opponent and as an educational option. This is Griggs University. This is going to be an online university. We're still working on accreditation. It turns out that's a little harder to get than what I thought. But we offer all kinds of, these are our degree choices. There's college basketball appreciation, a bachelor's or a master's. The biblical studies thing, a unique perspective. You'll get my unique perspectives on biblical studies. You can either get a bachelor's or a bachelor's in that. And we also offer a degree in other. I mean, This is a convenient, affordable, definitely not a scam. And if you want to enroll for as little as $2,500 per course, you can just click right here and enroll.
How much would that be in Griggs
Do
coin?
not click on any screens that Griggs puts on this. Other. On behalf of John Titel, Joby Fortson, Mike Shaw, Rocco Miller, Bracketeer.org, David Griggs, John Sleek, I'm
My
Chad
school.
Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow night with a Hoops HD report, Wednesday night with Under the Radar, and next Sunday with another bracket rundown. Talk to you again real soon.